Hello guys, and welcome to the first rendition of Wednesday Wobbles with myself, Mario, and with Harry. Ian sadly is not here today because he has a bit of an emergency at home, so we're taking over this live stream and essentially trying to have another go at live streaming and see how that goes. So yeah, and we have Harry here.
Hello.
And it's been a really interesting, I think, few weeks of you being part of the Speedy Feet.
Yeah, learning how to ride a unicycle and all of the kind of bumps and scrapes involved. A lot of falling over, I think, in the past few weeks.
Yeah, and we'll be talking a little bit about that later. And there's some videos like we're in the pipeline. There's some videos coming out soon of him riding some really cool wheels. So that'll be nice to see when we actually get there. And also for anyone watching, if you say hi and where you're from and also what wheel you're riding, just to see which countries and which models are represented on here, and also how many miles you've done or kilometers. I as a European, I prefer the metric system.
To be honest, mate, so do I. I don't get the miles thing, miles, inches, all the metric for me. Even though miles is the way that we use in the UK, but hey, controversial opinion from a Brit there. But there we go.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it sounds better, like miles.
It's easier to calculate though. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, I know how many meters are in a kilometer. Just I can tell. Do you know what I mean? You just know instantly. Whereas like, how many feet are in? I mean, obviously, if you know, you know. But like, I don't know. I think if the world changed to kilometers instantly, it would just be better. Anyway, this is completely besides the point.
Yep.
So I've been learning how to ride, which has been interesting. How have you found it actually, Mario, watching me learn how to ride? What's that been like for you?
Well, it makes me think about things that I haven't thought before.
Okay.
Just because, for example, I see something that you're doing wrong, or it doesn't work out, and I'm like, oh yeah, I should have told him to like do it this way, because it's like something I had to figure out through trial and error, and then seeing you kind of struggling with some things, I was like, oh yes, I remember when I started and I was really like unsure about things. So it's been really, and also it's been, I think, entertaining just seeing you fall over and over.
Well, part of the entertainment though is that you've not told me the things what not to do, like you just said. Anyway, it's been fun, hasn't it? I think it's been good fun. Yeah.
Oh, we have a comment. EUC rider
from Canada. He rides a KS14S. Waiting for my S22. Ooh. Good stuff.
Well, you've been riding an S22.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, that was yesterday, wasn't it? Out in the woods. How did I find it? Big. Big, yeah. Yeah, it's massive, isn't it? Like, big suspension, big batteries. Cool to ride, cool to use. But big, I think. Yeah, and I think because it's big, it's slightly harder to control. And actually, this is probably one of the bigger takeaways I've got from like learning is that obviously when you use different wheels, like I mean, it sounds obvious, like same with a car, but like every wheel kind of rides slightly different. And you've got it takes a little bit of time to like learn how do you use it properly and how does it work, and you know how much weight you need to put in it to move it. But with the S22, it's just a lot more effort moving it around is what we found. We actually have another comment saying, have either of you ridden the EX20S yet?
Oh, that's a good question, and the answer is yes.
We have, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, in fact, actually, there's a video coming out soon where we ride the two of them. Yeah. We both ride the S22 and the EX20S, and we kind of compare a little bit and find how that goes in the woods.
I think we can probably, if you swipe over. We can show a picture. So
really selling it.
really selling it. So I mean, because Duff is asking about the EX20S, and so I think technically Harry has been riding it for longer, because I've only just had a little go at it. But he actually went on a off-road ride with Ian. So okay, run us through, Harry. Like, what do we see? What is happening here?
What's going on in this image?
Yeah.
Well, I think when the video comes out, you'll hopefully get a kind of more. It's quite a funny moment. Basically, I'm standing on the unicycle, leaning against the post. Mary's just standing there filming me, and then Mary goes like, "Oh, are you ready to set off?" or something like that, and I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I just kind of like push off from the post, go forward, and my foot plate just hits the stone that you can see there, and just
actually moves the stone.
Do I actually move the stone?
Yeah, you move.
Oh wow, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
And I just instantly come off. But it's just quite comedic in the way that I was just standing there, and Mary was like, "Are you good to go?" I was like, "Yeah." Literally like onto the floor straight away. It's just quite a funny moment yesterday. There was another moment, wasn't there, where I with this wheel as well, where I'm off road.
It's the next picture.
Oh, is it the next one?
So I think you press. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So here's another moment where I go over a route, which is a big route, like I don't know, it was strangely large, and I actually got a bit of air and then landed it and tried to kind of keep it going, wobbled a little bit, kind of swerved left, and then realised I was basically going straight for this tree, which you can see right in front of me, and I kind of managed to kind of dive to the right of it and miss it. But actually, my hand grasping the tree there, I actually end up pulling off some bark.
Yeah.
So in the video, there's like bark chips like explode off the tree in a very dramatic way, which is quite funny.
I think that I call that extreme tree hugging.
We're literally tearing the tree apart. But I mean, it's kind of like what we were saying about that kind of getting used to, getting a feel for the wheel and the different weights and the different like kinds of ways to kind of maneuver it as you kind of learn how to use it. Like with this wheel, it just took me a little bit longer, I think, just because you really need to lean in to move it. And then I think because of that, if it's suddenly wobbling, then it's easy to kind of like overlean even more because you're not quite sure how much, and it just kind of perpetuates. But I think that those were the two worst examples. I think. Or is there another one?
No, just these
just
two.
Those two. Okay.
That well, when you actually see the videos, I think you'll enjoy these photos because I think they look quite well. There was, I think, maybe like one or two just little drops, but they're not here because they weren't really nothing special. But these were a bit too funny.
A bit too dramatic.
Yeah. Especially the second one.
That one there.
But if you go back to the chat, we'll see if anyone is commenting.
So Duff says, the feeling seems to be with street riding that the EX20S is more comfortable. Would you agree with that, Mary?
With street riding? Well, we haven't really done a lot of street riding, to be fair, with the EX20S. So Ian has been doing the range test and majority of riding. We just went for a ride in the forest.
We did a little, so we kind of on a kind of warehouse estate, and Ian went around that for a bit, and he found going up and down curbs was just super easy, like just super soft. You didn't even really feel that like vibration or anything, kind of as you went up and over. So I suppose moving around on actual streets or cities or something with that suspension means that potholes and manhole covers and all that sort of thing would be really kind of soft and go straight over it.
In terms of like the suspension has been really good, and Ian has some more thoughts about it, but it's definitely a wheel that's more difficult to ride, and this really feeds into because we also have the Commander, and so the Extreme Bull Commander, and both of these wheels have the same 3600 watt-hour batteries. So basically the same battery, and but I think the Commander, I'm not sure if it has a slightly smaller motor or not, but they feel completely different. So
I found this out today. So yesterday we took out the EX20S into the woods. And then today I was trying out the Commander, the Extreme Bull Commander, and they're similar size, although I think the EX20S is bigger. Similar size, obviously, like you said, same battery, but the way that they handle is just completely different. And I I ended up falling over today as well. I do more than fall over, by the way. I do. I feel like I get I do get somewhere, as well as falling over occasionally. But I fell over today on the Commander because almost the opposite of those two photos that we just showed was because it was so sensitive, and I was actually surprised at how sensitive the Commander was, and I was expecting to need to put a lot more weight into it, so I did, and then I just fell over because it was so like kind of so quick to move and so quick to turn. So yeah, like I said, those kind of dynamics of learning how each different wheel feels has been a bit of a learning curve. But yeah, so the Duffus again, how was it on the trail? And like really strong, like really good. I think the suspension means that you can get up and over like high kind of sticking out roots and big rocks. There's actually a video, we've got a shot of Ian going up that slope, haven't we?
Like a really steep slope. Probably it was like, well, it's difficult to say, but it was like quite a high angle, and it was probably the height like a couple of meters in height.
Yeah, it was a couple meters.
It's something that you have to like climb over. I don't know the angle of it, but it was like something I wouldn't go anywhere near that. But Ian is crazy, so he sees that, is like, oh, I want to try, see what happens. And so that'll be in the video, in the video review. It should be out, if not this week, sometime next week.
We got lots of kind of good shots. I think we got some slow-mo shots as well, didn't we? Of the wheels kind of going over that rougher terrain, which just to demonstrate the way that suspension works. And you can adjust the suspension as well, can't you? The sensitivity of it if you want to, if you want more or less. But yeah, it definitely felt like having that suspension on the EX20S and actually the King Song as well just meant that getting around the woods was just a bit of a dream. Really nice, even though, like I said, it makes the wheels heavier, and so you have to kind of navigate.
And because all three of us yesterday were riding, and I was on an M Super Pro, and I felt the bumps, and especially because there's one area where we go, and it's just like a lot of rocks. It almost feels like a cobbled street, like those old streets. And I'm going there, and I'm like, and Ian and Harry are just gliding like carpet. Yeah. So,
nice experience. It was good. It was really good. But yeah, so it's funny going from that with that level of suspension to kind of another wheel without suspension, and you can feel every bump a lot more and stuff, a lot less soft on the riding.
I think Def is asking, will Jonathan be trusted to ride the EX20S? He is the wheel destroyer.
He is the wheel destroyer.
So, do you know Jonathan?
I've actually not met Jonathan, no.
Yeah.
No.
So, basically, I think this wheel here behind me, I don't know if we can see it on camera, but this is when Ian and John, they went on their 1,000-mile charity ride. And basically, Ian and John are really good friends. Yeah. And John is notorious for falling over. And
is he more notorious than I am at this point?
Well, he has made more videos, so he's fallen more at this moment.
Okay, fine.
Of making this video, so there is still chance of you to overtake him. So there is hope in that regard. But if he comes over, if John comes over to the forest, I'm pretty sure he'll be more than welcome to test the wheel. It is like one thing that's fascinating about the X20S is that it's like pretty much all metal.
Yeah, very little apart from the foam top. Yeah. It's just all plastic. Oh, sorry, all metal. Right?
Yeah.
Very stripped back, very kind of minimalist in some ways.
And very, very heavy.
Oh, yeah, extremely heavy. It's funny, actually, when we finished the ride, we kind of put them into the car.
Yeah.
And you put it into the car, and we kind of put it in the boot, in the corner of the boot. And just the car just goes like, donk, like into the suspension of the car. You can just tell there's super heavy things been put in there. And then you need two people to try and lift it up out. Yeah, extremely heavy. But like when you're using it, actually, especially if you're just going straight, you don't feel that weight. You all you feel is that softness of the ride because of the suspension and the fact that you can keep going for ages.
Yeah.
It is only when, like, so for example, when you're pushing off, it's easier to fall off. Or I found it easy to fall off when you kind of start riding because you obviously start with that angle, and you have to try and kind of right yourself, but it's just harder to do because it's heavier. So, and also the plates are so high, you feel like you're really high off the ground, which is different, I suppose, from some of the other wheels.
So far, which wheels have you actually used?
So you're probably more of an expert of what models. So I first learned to ride on the 9bot, which is the 9bot
1E plus.
So the 1E plus.
Yeah.
Next up was the M Super Pro.
Yeah.
Which I learned was my first time outside actually on the trails on that one. Next probably was the King Song, wasn't it? The
S20.
The S20.
Yeah, 22.
Or the 22. Then the one that we've just been talking about, the EX. The EX, and then there's another one which I actually think is personally my favourite one.
Yeah.
And these models, these big ones, they're cool, they're nice, I quite like them. But like for me, there's a special place in my heart for this one here. Oh, this tiny little thing for me is my favourite.
Yeah.
I don't know why actually. It's just so nice. Like really small. You can put it in a rucksack if you want to as well. I just think that this. I feel like if I had this. If I owned this, I feel like I would probably use it more because it's just that much smaller to get around town on. That's my opinion, anyway. Yeah. Although, obviously, I would never take this off-road and I would never try and take a curb with this. In fact, Mike was saying earlier that if you try to tackle a curb with this, the curb would win every time. I think is what he said, which is definitely true because, look at how far it is from the floor. But, yeah, if there's a favourite of mine, it is actually probably this one. As much as it might pain Mike and Ian to hear that, or any of you might think, what? How can you prefer this? But that's my preference.
Yeah,
so.
It's like the M103 is a brilliant wheel. It's really strange. Like if you've been like used to the normal wheels, I guess, like the 16 or like 18-inch wheels, and then going to something like this because it's such a small tire,
but that's why
light.
I like it. But I think because it's so small, it's just extremely maneuverable, and you can basically do turns. I can't remember what you call them, but just really tight corners and turns and stuff, which just for me would just be perfect for actual use. Like I think if you're going to go out and do long distances, you're going to go out and go on long trails and stuff, then having a bigger wheel like this or any of the others is just ideal. But I genuinely do feel that if you're going to be nipping around like sharp corners and bends and stuff in a town, providing that there's not lots of potholes, I'd prefer that one. But hey, that's just my preference.
Well, I think Duff might be on your side.
Ah, there we go. Yes, it looks like it. The M10 is awesome. Most maneuverable wheel there is and easiest real. Oh, I've actually not tried riding backwards on any wheel. Which might be a theme for a video. How easy is it to learn to ride backwards? But I imagine you're probably right, just because of how sensitive it is. You can stay on it and stuff. So the M10 is my favourite of the bunch at the moment. And we might find another one that I prefer a little bit more. Yeah. So yeah.
It's like the only thing is like you can't really go very far.
No,
that's like that.
I haven't. Yeah, I'm not sure of the kind of the specs of that, but I'm guessing the batteries.
Yeah, well, I mean comparison. So it's like 512 watt hours, whilst you have like 3,600. So
right, yeah.
You can imagine.
But like again, it's just about how an individual would use the wheel, right? Yeah. And like if all you want to use the wheel for is to get from one place to the, I want to pop to the shops, or I want to pop round my friend's house and he just lives 5 minutes away. That's potentially really helpful. Whereas if you wanted to do something super long distance, then obviously you would never pick that. So
because often like we get the question, what is the best wheel? And you're like, what? It's really difficult to answer because best for what? I think that's like the counter question. Because like I I'm not a big fan of the big wheels, mostly because I use it in a more of a commuter environment, and on occasion I would kind of go like on a bigger ride.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's not enough for me to justify like I don't know spending like $3,000 on a proper wheel. But then some people they just want that off road like high speed extreme stuff, and having like a I don't know, like a V8 or a M103 it would be like completely insufficient.
Yeah, true.
So
very true. What's your out of interest? What's your favourite wheel, Mary?
My favorite one. Ooh, well, I like the V8.
Okay.
I like because I have a V8 in terms of kind of commuting. But to be fair, like today riding the Commander for like a little bit, I actually quite like that. I need we need to put pads because it's just padless and it's more difficult to control.
Yeah.
But it's still even without the pads, I find it quite easy to like maneuver, which I like that where a wheel is kind of responsive and easier to use rather than having to like over lean. Because like with the EX, for example, has a really comfy seat. Like if you sit on it, it's really soft. But yeah, I guess I'll go with the V8 personally, and the one that I own. And then from the bigger wheels, I don't know. I think I really want to be riding the Commander.
Yeah, well, I think we'll definitely be showing that off a little bit more as we, because we basically only really got it out of the box today actually.
Yeah.
So there'll be definitely some content coming out about that soon. We've got another question from Duff about have you guys gotten the updated V12 system boards, and if so, have you done a lot of swap outs yet? That is not my area of expertise, Mario. I think you should probably answer that question.
So we got some boards, but not enough. So we're waiting for like more boards to arrive. I think end of this month. That's what we're promised. So we were able to like swap only. Well, I swap only a few boards. And it's been pretty like straightforward. Just I think the annoying thing is because to like just swap the driver board, you have to like essentially take almost everything apart. Because I call it like you have the black brain box, which is like in the kind of almost at the center of the wheel, and to get to that you have to like take off all the side and the top panels and yeah, that's a little bit annoying.
A bit of a faff.
Oh, there's more questions.
Brilliant. Have you had any customers get V12 cutouts? I've not heard of any in the UK.
So in the UK there is one. We had one customer who his wheel he was just learning on it, and it wasn't doing any speed or anything like that, and it just stopped working. So we've just like received the wheel, but I haven't had time to like examine it and see what has caused the issue. So we gave him like a brand new V12 as a replacement until we can figure out what happened. But that's been, well, at least in the UK, kind of the only, because it's a cutout, but actually I'm not sure if it happened whilst he was riding. I think he was riding and then stopped riding, and then when he wanted to ride again, it just didn't power on. So that's a bit strange.
That is very strange. Very strange. Another comment, just picked up a KS18XL and love it. I did get more wobble than I expected. Could be my stance as I get to know the wheel. That's Brian Gonzalez saying that.
Yeah, so the wobbles. So I think, Harry, what have you learned about the wobbles?
Great question. I tend to wobble quite a lot, especially when kicking off, actually, like when starting. I actually think that the hardest part of riding the wheel has been starting. Just because I don't know. Just I think a few factors, like obviously starting on the flat, but also trying to push off on a hill, uphill or downhill. Also, like weirdly, like I think the kind of shoe that you're wearing affects it as well. And also, actually, this is one of the other comments about those bigger wheels, the Kingsong and the Begode, yeah, was that the pedals that foot plates, my bad. The foot plates that you put your feet on, obviously a lot of them come with studs, right? Which makes it really easy to keep your feet in the same place. But if you're pushing off, or if I found, when I push off, I don't often put my foot in the right place to begin with, just because I've not kind of mastered that push off yet. Which means that when the studs are there, it's actually a little bit harder to kind of shift your foot into place. Which means that I'll often, and actually in the video that we were just filming yesterday in the woods, there's a lot of moments where I push off on the Begode or the Kingsong, and then I just stop and be like, right, I need to do that again because I know that my foot wasn't in the right place there, and I have to get it perfect on the first try.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my experience with that. But obviously, like I say, that sort of thing comes with a bit of a wobble as you kind of push off, get used to what you're doing, and then you kind of off you go.
Yeah, these are the low speed wobbles, but I don't think you've experienced the high speed wobbles.
Well, actually, you say that. There was one moment. So I was on the 9-bot. I was actually, I was in town actually, just kind of going across town, and I had a bit of wind, and I've never really experienced like what it's like to ride with wind. And it's a bit of a strange experience because obviously so it was headwind, so it was blowing up against me, and I feel like, to be honest, if it was blowing sideways, I could have like countered it. I feel like I would have known what was going on, but like because it was a headwind, I was being blown backwards, but I was leaning forwards with my feet to try and go forwards, and then it just felt like I was moving like forwards like this. Like it felt like a really strange kind of thing, and then I was like, "Oh my days, what's going on?" Freaking out. Oh, it's the wind. Okay, I know I should just slow down. But then, even then, just slow down. You obviously have to lean back a little bit, and I felt like I didn't want to lean back too much because the wind was blowing me back anyway. So it's just one of those weird things, and then I ended up kind of like having a proper high-speed wobble, and I managed to slow it down before I reached a red light.
Yeah.
But then I kind of. I didn't fall off, but I like stepped off, and then I didn't quite grab the wheel, and it kind of spun out, and it was a bit embarrassing. But that is probably my only experience of like high speed wobble. So yeah.
Yeah, because like with at least with the high speed wobbles, it's about things grabbing the wheel so you don't let it run away. Like you stick to it and then like try and slow down, and usually when you go down a lower speed, you're actually able to like regain your balance. But it's practice. So like the more you practice, and like the more comfortable and confident you get with the wheel, and like the easier it's gonna be to like tackle the wobbles.
That is very true, I think. Yeah, like actually one of the worst things is just that like panic. And that's what I've learned is like actually if I feel like I'm about to come off, like there's a like automatic thing in me to be like, oh my days, quick, stop, or whatever. But actually if you just weather the storm a bit, and I think I mentioned this actually in one of the videos, but like if you just stick with it, often what will happen is you'll end up leveling yourself off a little bit, and being able to keep going. There was a moment yesterday when we were in the woods where we were kind of trying to get up a kind of quite a steep slope with a fair few like roots and stuff, and I gave it a couple goes, and I just didn't quite manage to get up it because I swerved to the right or whatever, and then I stop, or I swerved to the left or whatever, and then I stop. But then the time that I did it, I just didn't stop when I swerved. I just kind of like, I mean, you remember like I was going up and I just kind of kept adjusting, and like, it kind of meant that I went up the hill like that. But like I think just by not panicking and being like I can stay on this and I'll stay and it'll be fine, I think kind of meant that when that kind of wobble came and there was a opportunity for me to swerve off course, kind of was fine I think in the end. So yeah.
I have some more comments. Hi Marcus Sweden. Good that you join us. Hi guys. 18XL is a great wheel. Yeah. It's a good wheel. Just bought a 9-bot Z10, only my second wheel, and I feel like I'm starting over again getting
Yeah, that's actually, Tim, that's what you say. Like, that's the perfect way to put it. Whenever you get a new wheel, especially if it's very different from the last one, it does feel a little bit like you're starting all over again. In that, like, you know the theory of how to use it, but it's just, and some of the instincts are the same, but the way that they feel is so different. You have to just completely adjust how you turn, how you stop, how you push off, like all of those things, just because the wheel feels so different. So yeah, I'm definitely with you there. It's a good way of putting it.
The saying that the hardest thing with wobble is not tensing up.
That is true, actually. Yeah, that is true. I think so for me with wobble, my tendency isn't to tense up. My tendency is to go whoa. Like, I think I'm more likely to just
jump off it.
Well, yeah, jump off it. But like, I think if my feet wobble, I think I'll completely wobble, and I'll just be flailing my hands around in the air and stuff. But you are right. Like, there can be a tendency to just kind of like end up like doing this, like just tensing and staying still, and actually. And this is one of my reflections in one of the previous videos that we made, is like just lowering the shoulders. Like, if you tend to like tense like this, and just dropping your shoulders is just that makes that better. As I was kind of getting the hang of the first unicycle I used, I had my hands in my back pockets, because it means that your shoulders are down, and if you need to get them out to stabilize or whatever, you can. But just trying to remind myself of like, no, hands down, hands down, hands down.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, having your hands in your pockets is not the best thing.
Well, no, I knew that, but it was more just me trying to keep my hands down, because I think what you're saying, I know that if they're up, I'm going to be tensing, or I'm going to be flailing around or whatever, and actually just trying to keep calm, just letting your hands hang down is the kind of best way of doing it. Or it was for me, at least in that moment.
Yeah. So what are people saying? Yeah, so I don't think you've seen a Z10. Well, you definitely haven't tried a Z10 because we don't have one, but it's a wheel that it looks like a Batman, like a thing from a Batman film.
Oh, really?
It looks great, but the tire is like very wide.
Oh, right, okay.
And it's essentially like the M10-3 have a small tire which is wide.
Yeah.
So imagine
a big tire.
Slightly bigger tire that's also more, maybe almost double the width. So it's really like bizarre feeling. So
interesting.
We weren't very very big fans here.
Oh, really? You didn't like them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But some people love them, and they would never touch another wheel. So like, fair enough.
It is one of those things. I think everyone's got a preference with it. I definitely think so. Yeah. So I think those have been some of my main findings, actually, just learning that tendency to wobble and trying to handle it, and trying to learn how to do that. And then also just learning about how to kind of move from one wheel to the other and learning about the differences between them. I think those probably been my largest things that I've had to learn. But it's great hearing some of you guys talking about the wheels that you've got and some of the things that you've learned. I think that's really good. Definitely.
Should you round off? Okay. So that people are chatting amongst themselves. That's great. Yeah. So Marcus has a question about the new V11s. Have they been fixed properly? Yeah. So like, we haven't got new V11s yet. I think Ian is cautious because we had the ones that we had, pretty much, I think probably half of them, if not more, had problems with the bearings. So I think Ian is just postponed. Well, he's put that on pause until like the issue is really resolved. So I don't know when we will get them back in. Because again, it's like a nice wheel to ride. But it's a shame that like the bearings weren't designed great.
That is annoying. That is very annoying. I have to say, Mario, I'm impressed actually with the way in which you can just like fix them. Because like, I think if you gave one to me and be like, fix it, I'd be like, what the heck? I have not got a clue how to do that. So yeah, so when the problem comes in and you fix it, I think it's really cool.
Oh, thank you.
That's
Well, I think the way I see it, it's like if you ever like build your own computer, for example, like a lot of the at least the basic work on a wheel is similar to that. So you have your cables that they go into the pins, and then you like need to make sure that the right cable goes where, and then when you start fixing some wheels, soon you pick up like patterns, and you like for example, if let's say a wheel is unresponsive, like you can check if the motor can turn, and if there's like a resistance when the motor is turning, that almost always means that the board is blown.
Oh, right. Okay.
So it doesn't matter which wheel or which model, it's like almost a universal thing. So there's things that you like pick up along the way, and plus like online there's like a lot of videos of people like doing stuff, so you can kind of follow along and get better.
Yeah, guys, great to see you chatting about the experiences with the tire pressures and stuff. Do you know what tire pressure we put?
Well, it depends. It depends from wheel to wheel.
Right.
But usually a lot of the wheels, they have kind of like a recommended tire pressure. So I think often it's been like they say between like 35 and 45. But the thing is, you can drop it to well, again, it depends, because some wheels like the I think the Commander, the recommend was about 32.
Right. Okay.
So it does vary a little bit, but if you drop the pressure down, then it's I think as Duff is saying, it's that he's saying something else. Yeah, but basically, like with lower tire pressure, like you're able to kind of absorb some of the bumps.
Yeah.
Whilst if you have a hard tire, then it will be like more bouncy, so you really feel like the surface. So that's why like if you go off-roading, you want to have a slightly lower tire pressure. But then the thing is, if you lower the pressure too low, what can happen is you can actually the rim can have a contact with the ground.
Oh, right.
And if your rim has a contact with the ground, you can break the rim or bend it, and essentially that's like
that's tire bust, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's like the motor is bust.
Right,
because
of course,
the rim and the motor, they're
yeah.
attached, so you either have to change the rim or get a new motor.
Okay.
And that's like a really expensive thing. And like in because people were talking about the John and him breaking wheels. So he has a Sherman, which is similar to the Commander a little bit. But then he was going down steps like and thing is, it's like bump, 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 and he had really low tire pressure. So when he came for a ride out with Ian, within like the first 5-10 minutes of riding, I think he hit a bump or something like that, and basically broke off his rim.
I see now why he says that.
Yeah,
John's the guy who destroys all the wheels.
Yeah, and then Ian was like asking like what happened, and John explained it. He had he had low tire pressure, and then he's been going up and down trying to ride stairs.
I see.
And that's the issue if you drop it too low. But you can, if you keep it slightly low below the recommended pressure, then that should be okay. But you have to kind of experiment with that a little bit.
You have to kind of figure it out. Yeah.
And
very cool.
Yeah, for V8, riding the V8 as a second wheel for over. Yeah, V8 is a great one. So Marcus, we will do more live streams again. So Marcus, I think that's the plan. I'm not sure if Ian will ever be here, because he's been really involved with like a lot of stuff. So he's barely in the office anymore. And especially with because we got a few wheels in, like we got the so EX20S as a demo model, we got the Commanders in, we actually I think we have the Veteran Abrams as well, that we have to get around to, like possibly making a video on that one. So there's like a lot of riding that he's doing, so that's why also Harry is here to help with riding, because it's like too many wheels for one person to actually test.
Yeah.
So trying to have like more people involved will help to like get the videos, because if it's one person doing like 1,000 kilometers on 4 wheels,
it's a lot of riding.
And then alongside with like running his business and his family and all of that stuff, it's quite difficult. Yeah.
I think though, guys, if like, you know, if you guys want to watch more live streams, I imagine we'll be willing to do them. We'll make space to do them, definitely. So I suppose if you're keen for more, just give it a like and let us know, and hopefully we'll be able to get some more going.
Then if you, I think the other thing is like if you have like any questions or anything that you would like us to have a look into, then you can send them to. I'll see if I actually have any graphics, because we haven't used the live streaming for a very long time, but you can send them to I think probably info@speedyfee.co.uk, and then Ian or I can pick up some questions.
Or just kind of comment on the YouTube videos. Just stick a comment down below the YouTube video saying, look, here's an idea for a live stream. Would you guys do ... And I'm sure we'll pick that up and be able to do them. I think we're probably approaching the time to close it down today, but it's been really cool to be on the first live stream and kind of just chat and see how it's going.
It's completely different, because usually we do like 15 takes to make a video, and this is like you have to just go with it.
But it's good fun. I enjoy
it. Time does fly.
So I think we'll potentially end it there, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and hope you got some stuff from it. And let us know if you'd like to see more, because we'll definitely get on it and do some more.
Because if people are interested, then we'll try and cater for that.
Definitely.
So thank you so much, guys, and hopefully we'll see each other again.
And make sure you check out the new videos and stuff that we've got coming out on YouTube.
In the next week or two we should post a couple of videos, at least a couple of like full initial reviews, and then follow-ups and stuff like that. So definitely be tuned into the channel.
You can enjoy the shots of me crashing into trees, hitting rocks, falling over, and all sorts of things like that.
And learning.
And learning and having a good time as well. So
Okay.
Cool.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you in a bit. Bye bye.